All right, just a short video. I had a little discussion on Twitter with my good friend Luke Mason, who is part of the White Art Collective, a brilliant musician. Definitely check out Luke Mason. Lots to say about him. He's been on my show before, blah, blah, blah. Close friend, and also a very, very good martial artist. So, this clip came up of these two boys fighting. And something I've been commenting about on Twitter is how white people must learn martial arts, must learn to defend themselves. And then whenever the topic of martial arts comes up, everybody's got an opinion and people pile on and blah, blah, blah. And then you start getting into arguments and stuff. That's fine. Um, I studied Kung Fu for decades. I've ran a sparring club for 8 years. I spar teachers of schools now, and I do that like twice a week. And so that's not me flexing my muscles or my ego. It's me saying I have a little bit of background in this topic. So I think that what I wanted to do, well, whatever. I commented on this. Luke was like, hey, we're getting into it. And he wanted to hear my thoughts on this. So that's why I'm making this video. Kabang. There you go. So I'm going to break it down little by little. But before I begin, I sort of want to say that, excuse me, I think this was like a timed match, that this was not like an authentic fight. Like these two guys were mad at each other and they wanted to settle the score or something. Because at the end of the video, somebody seems to have a timer and they just stop and somebody comes and kind of breaks it up. I would argue that if the black kid was winning, then they wouldn't stop. They would have let him brutalize and knock out the white kid and then continue to beat him after he was unconscious, like you see in probably thousands of videos on Twitter and elsewhere. Anyway, whatever, that's conjecture, but I'm talking about technique. This is all about technique. So the way that you approach a fight, conflict, it depends on the techniques that you use. So when I want to first off say that the white kid is very skillful. Bravo to him, hats off to him. He really, really did great. He definitely has some kind of a wrestling background, probably MMA. These types of techniques are extremely common in MMA. And this isn't like me throwing shade on MMA. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is that the public thinks that MMA is the only options out there. It's kind of like, imagine if you thought that the only restaurant that existed was McDonald's. This is the way that I see martial arts. Is like, no, there's many kinds of restaurants and many kinds of food and not just McDonald's. So I don't want to get into the nitty gritty about MMA and martial arts, yada, yada. Let's just get right down to techniques. So I'll play a little bit and talk, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. So straight off the bat, the notion of like kind of going in for a sort of a tackle, grabbing someone's legs, picking them up and throwing them is a classic MMA move. And in the street, you might have several other people around you. There could be all kinds of environmental issues. And so, you don't really want to go on the ground. That's a last chance situation. It's just you want to avoid being on the ground as much as possible. Excuse me. Yes, it can be very damaging. This is the black kid takes a hell of a beating here, and the white kid, for being shorter, is quite amazing. So if someone goes to pick you up and throw you, you're naturally going to respond. However, the white kid's head is wide open for elbows and punches. He could be gouging his eyes. He could be tearing his nose. He could be tearing his ear. He's totally vulnerable. But once again, if someone's trying to tackle and pick you up, the tendency is to respond to that move rather than reframe the fight and by dictating with other techniques. That's a key point. So he goes down, but the kid rolls over very quickly, the black kid. So that's to his advantage. Now the white kid didn't take him down in such a way where there was a follow-up. So it kind of, that's another problem with this technique is if, you know, things are moving around violently, they're uncontrollable, this person's struggling against you, you can easily lose control of them. So they go straight back into the kind of boxing match type thing. Their hands are up, they're doing the little boxing dance thing that they do. Now, why is the black kid running into the white kid? Like, what's the strategy there that you would like? I mean, I guess I don't know. That kid doesn't know how to fight. I mean, it just seemed odd to me that he would charge into the kid. But whatever. This, when you're fighting, your brain is on fire and you can't think, and you just use brute force. The white kid's trained, so he ducks down. He knows he's going to take the other guy out. Not only that, look at the horse stance that the kid is in. He's a very, very well grounded and established. He's got his arms ready. He's got his head down. He's ready to go in for the tackle throwdown. And he goes right back into the same technique. The black kid reaches for his arms, which I think is instinctive. But again, the white kid's head is wide open. Now, if the black kid knew better, he would drop his center of gravity and go and become heavy and make it hard for the kid to pick him up, which would ruin his technique. Okay, the black kid hits his head pretty hard on the pavement here. So if you're going to do this technique, that is what you want to do. You want to knock someone's head against the ground really hard because you want to stop the fight. Violence is bad. You don't want to be in a fight. You don't want to do violence. There's legal dimensions to this. You are required by law to warn the person before a conflict. I am trained in martial arts. I could hurt or kill you. I have to tell you this, and please, don't blah, 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 blah. So whatever, that happens, and what's next? Let's back up a tad here. Another thing, too, is if you're in the kind of the boxing mode, or I don't want to say boxing mode, but in this kind of a fight, what's the word I'm looking for? Not like setup, I guess. I don't know how else to call it, where you've got two guys that look like they're going to start punching each other like boxers. So there's many techniques you could be using. The white kid could have swept out the front leg of the black kid to trip him up, but he would have landed on the ground, and then the white kid could jump on the top of him if he wanted to use ground techniques. You see where I'm going with that. Like, there's so much that can happen here, but since this black kid charged into him like that, it changes, the dictation of what's got to happen. The white kid is familiar with and comfortable with this kind of wrestling techniques, so naturally he's going to use that. However, he could, if you throw a punch into somebody who's running to you, you double the power of the punch. He could have easily knocked him out with one punch right now. Problem solved. Hold on. my dehumidifier. So come on. I'll play this for you and come right back.
Oh, dang! Oh my! See? Ooh.
So this is a thing in fighting, sparring, boxing, martial arts. Things are happening so fast that it's just bang, 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 bang. Technique. It's your brain is working overtime. So here the kid goes down, cracks his head. Now the white kid could have planted a few good elbows on him at this point. And you see that the black kid's reaching his arms around the white kid's head. So now the white kid is in some danger there. And you can see he's trying to grab his hair or head, and he's trying to pull him down. Let's take it from here.
Oh, dang.
Okay, the white kid smartly circles around, and now this is just classic techniques for this type of MMA, jiu-jitsu, wrestling stuff. This is where he should wrap his arm under the black kid's head and kind of that's where, I don't know the name of the technique, but you basically pull the head up and into you in a type of a choke hold that can easily break a neck, but certainly knock somebody out. Oh, see, now the black kid grabbed his knee. Okay, what happens next?
Oh my.
This is one of the reasons why I'm not crazy about this kind of fighting or martial art, because how do I say, when your arms are tied around somebody, you no longer have the use of your arms for punching and elbowing. And now you have to rely on other things. So the kid smartly sat down on the ground. He lowered his weight. Let's see what happens next.
My.
Oh, there you go. Now that's smart fighting right there in this system. So he was trained well enough to know to shoot his legs out behind him. That changes the fulcrum and the leverage of where everything's happening. So he's got his chin on the guy's shoulder. All right. All right. So here's an interesting thing. He keeps trying to take the guy down, but he's losing leverage because he's shorter. Like, he doesn't have the weight and the leverage. But so, like, once again, this is kind of what I'm saying. Like, that dude could be punching him in the gut. The black guy could be like just doing all kinds of uppercuts into his gut and his ribs. He could be da-da-da-da, all that stuff. But, and now here he goes. So he tries to do an uppercut, which was a smart move, but the white kid was smarter and got out of the way. So he has enough experience to know that that was coming. You see what I'm saying? That's quite good stuff. So he's recalibrating now. You see how he's backed out. He was smart enough to get out of that. But you can see kind of by his leg positions, he's going to be going back in a second. The black kid is recalibrated. He's got his hands up.
Ooh.
Okay, now this part, to me, is silly, but I'll show it and talk about it. So that's not a punch. That's like this whole, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's sort of like I want to hit you, but I don't want you to hit me. So I'm going to be afraid and back out and make myself out of range for you. But then I'm going to try to jump in and punch you. This isn't a strategy. There's nothing here that really makes sense. I guess it could make sense depending on what your strategy might be, but I'll let it roll. So this is this kind of like you run in and tag and run out, run in and tag and run out. This is what sports do. This fighting isn't the sport, you see. So like that thinking is not the right thinking for the street. This is kind of the point that I was trying to make in my tweets here. So we'll sort of come back. What I love is how fearless the kid is. That is wicked. You got to be fearless. You got to be fearless. It's so, psychology is huge to this. So he's coming in. The black kid's smart enough to back out. He's maintaining his position inside. Now, if the black kid knew how to block, he wouldn't have to lean out of range. He could have easily blocked that and then gone in and taken out the white kid, punch, punch, punch. But he can't, because he's mirroring what the white kid is doing. That's what I said earlier. The techniques you use dictate the behavior of the opponent. Oh, I saw you do that technique. Now I'm going to do it too. Very stupid, very, very stupid way to work. So then again, like what? And then, oh, I'm going to tag you. Oh, no, I'm out of bounds. Haha, didn't touch me. So then more boxing, BS. The white kid's trying to position himself. So if we look here, we can see how the black kid circles around, and then the white kid comes in a little bit, trying to get inside would mean like inside the center line area. Okay, sort of where the opening is between these 2 feet. So what happens? More of the taggy crap. Now, right here with this technique, see how the white kid's leg is over here? If he knew Kung Fu, he would have used that to sweep the guy's leg out and trip him on the ground. So that's a missed opportunity right there. if you're gonna back away so much, you had better come forward with a really, really powerful technique. No, no, I'm still gonna play a little game with you. Headhunter game. Here's my head. Aha, you missed me. That's not fighting. It's playing. It's sporting. The way the kid punched, he over punched so hard that like this hand is out of range. Now he could have very easily followed with a straight punch to the head to the white kid. That would have been extremely effective because the white kid's probably going to lean forward. That's another thing. There's a whole rhythm to movement. You forward and then you're back, and then you're forward and then you're back, and that's a rhythm. And when you're back and you know you're coming forward, that's when you punch. So once you see somebody is creating a rhythm in their motion, their movements, you break the rhythm. That's technique, or rather that's strategy. So there's more of this, like, you can't hit me. Now, why is it always the head that you have to hit? You're that close to each other, and he could have hit, the stomach, the chest, even the groin, probably. I mean, the black kid could have thrown a kick right here into the groin. Didn't think about that because he's playing headhunter. So once again, if this guy's dictating the way that the other guy fights, then he will mimic him. Now, that is a strategy. You can force people to walk into things by leading the dance, if you will. So this kind of goofiness continues. Let's see what happens. Did he? No, he didn't really connect. The kid, that was I would actually say it was a smart move how he rolled out of it like that and then recalibrated, because that was just bullshit. That wasn't going anywhere. You have to kind of start over, so to speak. Now, I like how the white kid he's like really good the way that he moves around. It's quite good footwork. So we're back to the beginning. He got himself in that kind of horse position where he's low, and then this kid doesn't learn. Like, he's already seen this twice. The kid tried to pick him up. Oh, I'm going to run right back into your arms again and let you do it to me all over again. Why? What was he thinking? Like, what's the strategy here of like, I was trying to punch you before, and now I'm going to charge you. I guess he thought he was going to overwhelm the kid, knock him down. And back to this. And we go down on the ground. Yada, yada. Now, the black kid's it looks like he's got some technique himself. Did he learn that? Or is this just sort of like, well, that's what you do in this situation? It's what makes sense to him. Let's continue. So people can squirm out of that one way or another. There must be some kind of way that you can get out of that. This is not the most stable way to fight. Back to this. No, here. This I'm gonna have to. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that the white kid could have like kneed him in the groin right here. You see that his knee could have easily come up into the groin. He could easily sweep out either of these legs and make the kid kind of like go into a split and fall down. I just, again, I'm not a fan of wrestling. So to me, like, these are just all kinds of lost opportunities. Now, this is another thing. These guys are here for a show. They got their cameras on. They want to put something on YouTube or Twitter or whatever the hell. And so this whole thing is just for their camera. Let's kind of say that. But in reality, these buddies over here, they would be coming in and pounding the shit out of this guy's ribs. He would never make it, So like, that's another issue about this kind of ground fighting, is that it's great in the ring with a one-on-one, but in the street with a bunch of guys, you're an idiot to go to the ground because they're just going to kick your head in. So let's continue. So how does a smaller guy pick up a guy like that? He lowers his gravity. He's able to pull him up. Anyway, here's the ground and pounds. Oh, that was a good one. So that was good. He used the momentum, hold ground.
I am the best recorder.
And here's an interesting thing. See that big metal dumpster over there? Now they were in a real fight situation. If you could throw a guy into that metal surface, you see where I'm going with that? Use your environment. We're talking about life and death here. If somebody is assaulting you, or there's a group of people assaulting you, and you have no weapon and nobody to help, you have to do what you have to do to survive. So this is another type of thinking. So let's continue. Okay.
I am the best recorder. I am the
So here's some interesting things too. Now, there's all kinds of techniques to get out of this, but again, you have to be somewhat, knowledgeable and trained. The black kid could sweep this leg around behind him. He could be using elbows back in. There's pressure points in the white kid's arms that he could be pressing that are very painful, that if you press those pressure points, it'll force him to let go. He's not taking advantage of his height advantage.
best recorder.
Again, like being able to knee him in the groin here is another thing. I guess I feel like, why think about all the time and energy that you're wasting on, like, look how long this has taken. You're going to be pretty tired by this point. Now, I know, guys in MMA, they're super, super fit. It's actually more of a battle of who's more fit, who can take more punches to the face, who can last longer. So that's kind of this, I don't want to call it, I guess it's the sport of it, is like how long you can go, so to speak. But in a real situation, you need this to end as quickly as possible. So this kind of hugging shit, I think, is just irrational.
Dang.
And there's again, like ground and pound, like, I know it's ground and pound, whatever. But like in the martial arts mindset, you want to knock out the guy, So if you're going to do that, you want to punch the temples. And I know that's really dangerous. Like, you can kill somebody doing that. But like, why would you even want to get into this situation in the first place where you have to do that, when there's so many other ways where you could disable somebody and not have to do things that violent? Because again, violence is bad, it's unethical, and there are legal dimensions to this. So this isn't advice to like kill people or something like that. Obviously, if your life is threatened, you do what you need to do. But again, what I'm trying to say here is simply like, this is for the cameras. Let's just be honest. All right, so all right, break time. All right, well, we got some footage for YouTube. Now we're cool and tough. So anyway, there's my little commentary. I could probably go even deeper, but I think that maybe this answers my friend's questions, and I thank you so much for joining me for this delightful little show. And thank you, Imperial Crusader, for joining. Guys, have a good one, and please leave some comments. I know there's probably a lot of people with martial arts backgrounds that have all kinds of things to say. I'm totally cool with that. I respect the fact that people have a lot of pride in the systems that they belong to, and that's fine. It's all good. Anyway, God bless you guys. Stay out of trouble. The best way to win a fight is to not be in a fight. So there you go. And the end.